Okay, kids, we're gonna cut our blocks to size here. This is one of the blocks that we made, and this is my jig for cutting my angles on my block. So this is a flat surface. It's square to my chop saw. I'm using my chop saw for this. And then right here is a shim, just a couple pieces of veneer that when I put my block on to this jig, that shim raises it up. Now I'm exaggerating this, but you can see by raising that up, my chop saw is going to come across that at an angle. So I put this on there and cut it. Now I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line on here and exaggerate this, but this I want you to understand that that's the angle that I want. Can you see that? Again, from this corner I want to go this way. Now that's orienting the mortise down, and what would be seen from the inside of the block, or the inside of the guitar, this would be the surface you'd see of the neck block. So that angle's going to go this way, and by putting this shim, it allows that to raise that, and I've figured out how much of a shim I need, so that when I pull my chop saw down, I'm going to take off 1.5 degrees here, and that's going to match the angle that my neck has on it. And again, the 1.5 degrees is for the top of the guitar. We're going to glue to the top of the guitar to that 1.5 degrees. The back side of the guitar is going to have a 5-degree angle on it. And that's going to be also, I'm going to exaggerate this, but it's going to go this way as well. So that's going to be the back, and that's going to be a 5-degree. So now if you think about this, this is where the neck goes, like so. And this angle that I've drawn on there, again exaggerated, but this is 1.5 degrees. That matches this 1.5 degrees, so that when these two things are together, that slope's going to follow right up and shoot to our bridge and saddle. But on the bottom, now you have to envision that the back of the butt end of the guitar is fat, and it gets thinner as it comes in here. So now the back's going to get glued to this 4.5, somewhere between 4 and 5 degree angle right here. So again, you're going to have an angle this way that's towards your mortise. In other words, you're not going to cut that angle the wrong way. You're going to cut it that way. So there you're going to match your neck angle, and here you're going to allow for the back to come in and get thinner. You wouldn't want this way. You'd be gluing your back cattywampus. You want it on this angle, and so both of those with the jig that I have. So now with the jig that I have, again, I'm always going to cut with my show side, the side that I would see inside the guitar, up. So so this shim is my 1.5 degrees. I take this out, flip it around, and I've got another shim here, which is a higher angle, and that's that's going to be my 4 to 5 degree angle. Now I've got this set where I've got a mark that I know I put right against my this plastic on my chop saw, and then I clamp that down. So this is going to be, here's my mark. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to just hold this square, and against everything I'm going to put my first cut's going to be my 1.5 degrees. So I'm gonna aim to just take a little bit off of here at this leading edge, and as this is lifted up, it's going to cut through there. So here we go. We're going to cut our first 1.5 degrees on our square block. Check the square, we're good. Alrighty, now the next question is, where's this second cut go? And that's where you have to determine the thickness of your top and back, as well as the dimension of this block, to give you your outside dimension at the neck. Now this is going to be for a Nick Lucas guitar, and if you remember when I looked up my information here on my Nick Lucas, there we go, it's 3.5 inches. So the thickness of my two plates together, and this is the top and the back of this guitar, I'm going to put those together and measure that thickness. And lo and behold, it's a 1/4 inch. The two together is a 1/4 inch. So now, to cut my block, so the way I want to measure this, because my angles go this way, and I've already cut this one. I'm going to start here on my neck side and go to my 3.5, which is my total distance, minus my 1/4 inch, which is right there. So right at the neck, by the time I add my 1/4 inch, I got 3.5 inches. But now I have to transfer this information I want to transfer that to this, and I need to know what that is going to be. So I'm going to set this at right about, let's say, 4.5. Here's my mark. So now, for that to rake in 4.5 degrees, see that? So there's my dimension at the neck. That plus my, can you see that? Okay, so I've cut my angle, my 1.5 degrees here. I'm going to work off of the inside where the mortise is, and I'm going to measure down to 3.5 inches less my thickness of my top and back, which is 1/4 inch. So then this is 3.25 inches down to this mark. Then I take my protractor and I set it up to between 4 and 5, 4.5 degrees roughly, and I transfer that mark along there. That's again the angle of my cut is there, and then that shows me where because I want to cut on this side, that tells me where I'm able to cut. So there's my mark for my cut. Okay, so now that I'm going to put this, I'm going to turn my jig around. Lock it down where I want it. And again, now this shim is a taller shim, thus creating a taller angle on my block. And there's my mark. So when I chop, I'm gonna come here and hit my mark. I'm gonna hit that mark with my chop. Once I chop on that line, I'm gonna have my angle 4 to 5 degrees this way. I've already cut my 1.5 degrees off of here. So that's going to look like that, not like that. Like it's going to come in that way. My back's here, my top's there. And then that's going to give me my full 3.5 inches. So now I'm going to chop that with my jig, with my shims that raise that up. I'm exaggerating that, but raises it up so it chops this way. That's the way I want my cut to be. So here we go. Line that up about like so. So there we go. Let's see what we got here. If we look at our angle that way, that looks great. That's right at 4 degrees. I know you won't be able to read that, but that's that steep angle for our back. This is our less steep angle for our top. Again, the neck's coming in here, like so. Of course, this gets cut off. Whoops. So here's our 1.5 degrees. That all matches up there. And when our back comes in, it's going to come right up to there. This gets cut off, and we'll deal with all that later. But this dimension plus 1/4 inch is going to give me 3.5 inches at the neck. Yep. So there it is, 3.5 inches, perfect. By the time I add, I don't know if you can see this, but by the time I add the thickness of my back, and top, that should be 3.5 inches, which it is. And I don't care if I'm off even up to a 1/16 of an inch isn't going to make any big difference on this. Don't worry about being perfect on that stuff. So you can be in the ballpark, but this looks great. It's 3.5 inches. I've got my 2 angles, so there's one block ready to be glued into the side. Now I'm gonna round this off and do like I was showing you, I think on the other video here, where we'll round that off and make it look nice, sand it all, and then there it is, and that's your block. So now I'm going to cut my other 3 blocks. I got this one to match the thicknesses of the top and back plates for the other 3 guitars, and I'll have all my neck blocks done. And then I'll cut my end blocks the same way. Whatever that dimension is at the end, at the butt of the guitar, I'm going to cut that the same, minus the thickness of my plates. Okay, there's my 4 end blocks, cut to the depth of the body at the end. Now again, you're gonna find your body depth, and then you're gonna cut these less the thickness of your top and back, which is roughly 1/4 inch. So those are the 4 blocks for the 4 guitars. Okay, now I'm gonna I've got my 4 blocks. There's 4 of them that are all cut to size. Now I'm just going to put the details on them. I'm going to round over these edges and just lay that on flat to flatten that. That's where my sides get glued. So I'm just going to true them up a bit and make them look pretty. So that's going to be all done on this machine. Turn on the back. By the way, I've got a foot feed on this, so which I love, because if anything happens, I can jump away and my foot feed goes off. So anyway, here we go. Okay, there you go. 4 nice looking blocks. Okay, kids, if you like and use or find these videos interesting, educational, informative, or maybe just entertaining because you're up late at night, we'd love to have you support us. There's a few ways you can do that. One is click the subscribe button below. That helps YouTube know what we're doing and that we're serious about this. Also, you can hit that bell icon, which tells you when the next videos are coming out. We're gonna try and get at least one out a week now that we're up and running here. Also, a good way to support us is become a patron over at our Patreon account, and again, there's a link below for that. Patreon's a cool way that you can sign up and give, you know, $5 a month or $10 or whatever you feel is worth it. If you're using these videos to actually build a guitar and find it interesting and fun, please support us through Patreon. That's you know, I wish I could do this completely for free, but it takes money and time away from my other regular job. So, you know, it's a big undertaking, and any support you could send this way is great. So, you know, it's all been very fun so far for me, and I hope you guys are having fun at this as well, and we greatly appreciate all your support, so thanks.